It's time to show you how I turned this into this. It's Pattern Hackathon time! Hi everyone, it's Amy here. Welcome back to the sewing room. Today I'm talking all about Pattern Hackathon. I hope you're as excited as I am that this Instagram sewing challenge is back for its third year. Basically, you take a pattern during the month of July and put your own unique spin on it for a chance to win some amazing prizes. I'm putting the rules up on the screen just in case you need a hand on what you need to do. I've entered in the past and had a great time, and this year they actually invited me to be one of the ambassadors for the challenge. I was so happy. And each week different teams of ambassadors are getting you excited for the 5 categories that you can enter. I was team 1. We called ourselves Camizzy because it's me and Kizzy Stitches. I hope you're following her. And our category to promote was Keep It Simple, Stupid. So this is showcasing a pattern with 10 pieces or less. We challenged ourselves to take Simplicity 9327 and hack it in totally different ways. So it's a pretty easy princess themed dress pattern, only has 10 pieces. I don't know if you know that a lot of Simplicity patterns actually say on the back how many pattern pieces they have. And it's a sweet little dress, but I thought I could make it a little bit more special. My inspiration started on Pinterest. I have a board called Sewing and Design Details where I pin interesting garment construction, like cool intricate pockets or trim details, things that inspire me. And I realised I'd pinned a few images with this sort of tabbed lacing effect. Very cool. And I thought, let's give that a go. And here's the result. A chambray dress with lacing around the neckline and a lattice effect lace skirt detail. And then the little bows to add extra cuteness. So let me show you how I did it. I started with a basic toile of the bodice, exactly as it is. Princess seams weren't quite in the right position and those shoulders kept falling off because of that big open back. It just wasn't working for me. Not really an open back kind of girl. So I decided to add the back onto the bodice as it originally probably was before they made their design changes to the basic block. So you can see here I'm extending the centre back line up from that tiny little bit at the bottom, keeping it parallel to the grain line. That's important for a nice straight back seam. And then I had to decide about the neckline area. So I pulled out a couple of pattern pieces. This one didn't really fit well with the shoulders. So I pulled out another one that lined up a bit better. I thought, yes, let's trace a nice rounded back neckline edge. So you can see I'm tracing that roughly onto the piece. And then I go back in with a French curve just to make that a nice smooth rounded edge. Finish off the centre back line. And then I can cut it all out, ready to make a new toile and test my changes. This is a really great way of stopping this pattern from being neglected because of that back. I'll get much more wear out of it now. So I made up my second toile and it fits so much better. I also tweaked those princess seams a little bit. You can see the shoulders are sitting perfectly. I've got so much more coverage at the back. And then I moved on to the skirt. So the skirt had a panelled seam down the front, but not at the back, and that wasn't going to work with my plans. So I simply folded out the seam allowance, taped them together, and then here I am cutting off to hemline C. Then came the fun part, playing around and figuring out how I wanted the bodice to look. I cut a series of strips that were 1 centimetre wide when sewn, and then cut them into 5 centimetre pieces, folded in half. And then I decided for the first test to put them 2.5 centimetres apart and just did the bodice front. I thought that was going to be easier and create a really cool effect. See already, look at how fun that looks. I made up a quick piece of tubing to be my sort of tie at the front and fed that through. Used my original toile as a lining, and there I can really see how it was going to look when made up. I decided to change the gaps to 8 tabs at 3 centimetre gaps 5cm long strips became 5.5. Worked out the perfect length for the tie was 50cm long, so I could tie it in a bow. Then I started playing around with what I could do for the skirt. So I had tried to figure out how the original inspiration image had done the lacing on the skirts, but I just couldn't figure out a effective way to do it without wasting loads of fabric. So I thought, why not just repeat what I've done on the bodice, add 2 strips, like here I've got 2 strips with the tabs on either side, and then if my maths was right and I evenly spaced them, I could interlock them like this to make a laced effect. This was so much harder than I realised to get the maths right for the perfect gap. You can see here I maybe put them a bit too close together. It also relies on really steady sewing to make sure your gaps and your tabs are all the correct heights. My dress is made from some remnant pieces of chambray that I had in my stash. I had a 2.5 metre piece of one shade and then a 1.5 metres of a slightly different shade, but I thought I could use that for lining. So I assembled all my bodice. As it's a self-lined bodice, that meant having to keep straight which one was going to be my outer and which one was going to be my lining. But I love a princess seam bodice because you can get such a great fit. As you remember, we've already adapted the back, so it's a lovely fit and coverage. I really love how this finished bodice turned out. Then I spent a good chunk of my life making the little tabs from every possible scrap piece that I could find of my fabric. I started off by making long 1cm tubes, cutting those out, sewing them, turning them through. My rotary cutter helped trim all those seams. I could do it in bulk, and then my Prim loop turning kit helped me turn all the tubes out. But after doing all this, I must have made so many strips, and then I cut all of those down into the 5.5cm tabs. I sped this up a little bit, but I got through a lot of TV while doing this process. Counted up everything that I'd done. I made a lot of them, and oh, would you believe it? I hadn't made enough. So then I had to find even more scraps, do shorter little stumpy pieces. That was my quick tip for cutting them all apart. They all had to be pressed flat and then pressed in half, so they were ready to attach. Burnt my fingers a couple of times, thank God for that little mini Prim iron. And then I could finally start attaching them. So here I am attaching to the bodice. I then sewed everything, and I used the pull through method, which I love when there's a centre back zipper or centre back seam that you can use. So from the front you reach up and pull the bodice back through the armhole seam. This is one of the techniques I learned when I was first sewing, and I was so impressed by it. It was like magic to me. So here I am doing the other side, and you can already see the amazing tabs. I'd understitched everything at this point. My ties were in place because I wanted to secure those in the shoulder seams as well. And look at my little bow, I was so happy. So now I'm just attaching the side seams for the front and then for the front and the lining, and then you can sew it in one continuous motion, creating a super clean edge on the inside. So I was so happy at this point. Look at that bodice, oh my gosh. And there, look on the inside, my lovely clean side seams. Then the hell started. I had to attach all the tabs to the skirt. Started with the main skirt, which was then the hem, or the tabs extended off the hem. So this is upside down, but there you go. You can see it all pressed down, and that slightly darker chambray as the lining, helping me keep things straight. I was pretty chuffed at this point. So I attached it to the bodice, installed my concealed zipper, and once that was done, I could go in and hand stitch down all of my lining on the inside. I actually thought, hey, why not just do a row of lacing like the bodice and stop there? But I committed to my original idea and I made a hemband with the same tabs, hundreds and hundreds of tabs, laced everything through and added a little bow to finish it off. Here's the finished dress, which you saw a sneak peek of earlier with that crazy lacing at the skirt. It's not my favourite finish. I think it could have been more polished, but I learned a lot doing it. And I think the bodice turned out exactly how I wanted. I had so much fun wearing this out and about in town. The cute little bow on the back, mirroring the bow on the front, makes me so happy. I hope you liked this video and maybe you've been inspired to take part in the Hackathon Challenge. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about how to take part or have follow-up questions about this tutorial. I'll be back again later this month with more hacking inspiration, so make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss out. Thanks for watching everyone, see you soon.